Hi, welcome back to another episode of Inside the Investments at Transition VC. Today we're here to talk about Albatross Energetics. So Shantanu, essentially Albatross Energetics, what are they currently doing?
Albatross is in the space of industrial cooling and dehumidification systems using their proprietary liquid desiccants. They're essentially a proprietary chemical that is used for dehumidifying and cooling industrial processes. The idea here is because of these solutions, because of these systems, your cooling in industry becomes far more energy efficient, far more effective, and has tighter humidity and temperature control. Yeah.
You mentioned that there are liquid desiccants at play here. Is this the normal state of affairs in the ecosystem?
Yeah, so if you talk about the ecosystem, right, there are two things that a cooling system typically does. One is control of temperature, that is reduction of temperature. The other thing is reduction of humidity. And these are simultaneous in your typical HVAC system. So when an HVAC system or when an air conditioner in your home operates, it does both these things, which makes it a little energy inefficient. That means it takes more energy to bring down temperature and humidity simultaneously. To give you an example, if you have 20% relative humidity versus 80% relative humidity, the energy taken to reduce temperature in a 20% relative humidity is much lesser as compared to an 80% relative humidity scenario. So, and these are not decoupled. In a typical HVAC, these are not decoupled. A desiccant based system, however, decouples this. A desiccant dehumidifies, and then your typical cooling system reduces temperature. What Albatross has done has completely decoupled this and made cooling more energy efficient with tighter temperature and humidity controls.
And with the current product line that Albatross currently has, what is the kind of industry or segment that they choose to first target and actually achieve this entire decoupling of the process?
Right. So, like I said, right, there are three key technologies out there that are used in the cooling systems in industry as well as large commercial enterprises. One is your typical HVAC systems that run on the refrigeration compression cycle. Second is your solid desiccant based systems. And third is liquid desiccants. To give you an example, all of these technologies are very well suited in certain segments of humidity and temperature control. Uh, in industry, in certain processes where tight humidity control is needed and humidity needs to drop below 40%, solid desiccants are used. And there are incumbents in the space, there are large players in the space that are working with solid desiccant based systems. However, the challenge with solid desiccant based systems is something called a process of reheating, where a lot of energy is used to actually absorb humidity and release the humidity outside the room, outside the scenario which needs to be cooled. That makes solid desiccant systems less energy efficient as compared to liquid desiccant systems. And liquid desiccant systems is, I wouldn't say a new technology, it's been around for a while now, but it has had its challenges with being toxic, with being corrosive, and that is what Albatross is solving for. So Albatross is solving for clean, energy efficient cooling, dehumidification with non corrosive, non toxic solution substances that are easier to use, easier to transport, easier to deploy, and generally the audience, the customers are comfortable with a non corrosive, non toxic chemical.
Talking about the incumbents already in the market, right? You did mention with corrosive and the toxicity in play. How does this become an exponential effect and Albatross being able to solve two things? First of all, the toxicity and the entire difficulty of integration, and second is why have they or how have they been able to achieve this as a success rate?
Yeah, correct, right? So, toxic and corrosive by nature, toxic limits the number of applications where a liquid desiccant based system can be deployed, and corrosive just reduces the life and the overall economics of a solution, so again limiting the number of applications where it can be deployed. So now if you're deploying solutions that are non-toxic, you can deploy them in areas in applications where there is human involvement also, which was earlier not possible. Now with organic solvents, now with organic compounds, you can deploy Albatross's liquid desiccant based solutions in applications like pharma, in semiconductor, in solar cells, in textiles, and a lot of applications which are needing very, very tight humidity control. The upcoming applications like solar cells, semiconductor manufacturing, which is rapidly growing in India, also demand these very tight humidity controls, and of course energy efficiency and energy efficient cooling is the need of the hour today, with a lot of stress being put on clean and energy efficient solutions to be deployed in manufacturing industry. So there's more a pull from the industry than a push to the industry.
And how difficult is it to currently integrate Albatross's current product with the pre-existing solutions already in the market? Do we have to replace the current incumbents, or we can, sort of like a retrofit within the current ecosystem and make lives easier as a whole?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question, right? Albatross will not go ahead and make the complete HVAC or the complete cooling system. They make part of the HVAC, which is called the AHU, which is the air handling unit. So they have the ability to retrofit with existing HVAC systems. They have the ability to partner with large HVAC companies that are dominant in the market today and go to market, and even a layer deeper, right? They don't even sometimes need to replace the complete AHU. They can replace part of the AHU, which is called the HME or the heat mass exchanger, making the barrier to entry, making the barrier to deployment much lesser. Replacing your complete HVAC systems are going to be far more capex intensive than replacing just your AHU, and that's what they plan to do. They have tested their solutions. They have a couple of pilots live in the market today. They've tested their solutions, and in the worst case, they are 30% more energy efficient than what is available in the market today, and that goes up to even 50-60%. And these have been tested by large qualified organizations like Bureau of Energy Efficiency and United Nations Industrial Development Organization. And this proof, this validation is for everyone to see. So they're at a stage where the technology is proven, the field validation is there, and definitely there's huge demand from the market. So we've invested in them to essentially scale from a POC prototype stage to a mass market stage.
Talking about the competition in the current landscape, incumbents have been in the ecosystem for quite a while. HVAC is not something that has come up very recently, right? So, how difficult is it for a new age company like this to do such an exponential innovation and still make a name for themselves?
Yeah, right. Very interesting, right? So there are 3-4 layers of complexity when you talk about these liquid desiccant based systems. One is the proprietary formulation. One is the proprietary chemical, the organic compound rather, which is making it non-toxic, non-corrosive. And that was one of the huge bottlenecks with liquid desiccants today, and that's why liquid desiccants haven't been deployed, and they've always been more energy efficient but haven't been deployed in the market. The second is the whole mechanics of it, right? And HVAC is a very closed loop system where a fluid runs inside a pipe, whereas in a liquid desiccant based systems, it is still pretty closed loop, but the desiccant has to come in contact with the air and not flow out of the cooling system also. So that is a very interesting engineering challenge that needs to be solved, and it's far more complex than how I've described it. And then finally, doing all of this at scale and doing all of this at cost, because it's all about the cost in the end. If you're uh, having better energy efficiency, your capex costs also need to be controlled so that your ROIs are there, so that your returns are there for the companies that are deploying this. Albatross is also exploring very interesting financing options where it is energy savings as a service or even cooling as a service, and they have the right to win because their systems by nature are cheaper and in the long run far more energy efficient than what is in the market today as compared to HVAC systems as well as solid desiccant based systems. Uh,
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.